Welcome to Fort Knox. This is my rabbit-proof growing area, which I am hoping to plant hundreds of plants into in the next week or so, and hopefully no rabbits will get in and eat them all, or any other pests for that matter. So today I'm going to brave it and just plant everything out, and well, not just today but the next week or so, and if that fails then I will quit, because it has been the most difficult year so far. If you watched my video previously, you'll know the trials and tribulations that I have faced this year, and this has definitely been the most challenging year of growing flowers to date, and I've been doing this for 7 years now. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it up here and down in the description. I'm going to be planting out in here again. I already planted out about 700 cosmos and sunflowers in here last week, and they're all gone now. So I'm going to use my string line that you can see here. I've got antirrhinums. Yeah, I've got those, snapdragons, but what I meant to say was amaranthus, snapdragons, scabious. I can't think what else off the top of my head, but there's quite a few things that are ready to plant out now. I'm not sure whether what I've got will fill up the area that I've already got composted, but as you can see over in this direction here, there is probably about a third of the field that I haven't prepared yet, so that needs to still be cardboarded and composted, or I've been using straw actually more recently instead of cardboard, and then compost on top. I've got a pile of compost there which will probably do 2 beds, but I need a little bit more than that, and I haven't been able to get any from the supplier, so I'm kind of running low on that. If I run out of compost or run out of plants to plant out in here, what I'm going to do is cover it over with the tarpaulins again, kill it off for a few weeks. It's quite warm at the moment, and I might even be able to double up the sheeting just to double up the effect of the heat of the sun killing off those weeds underneath. There's plenty of docks and grass over there that I need to kill off, and then plant a cover crop in there, which is actually going to be really nice and beneficial for the plants that are going to be growing here, and pleasant for me as well, because I love growing cover crops and I love experimenting with them. I could even grow various combinations of cover crops there, because there's enough room to plant a few strips of different types of cover crops, so that might be an interesting experiment to do. But for now, what I'm going to do is grab a load of trays of plants, and I'm going to actually soak them before I plant them in some fish hydrolysate, seaweed, probably some worm compost, compost extract as well, just to give them a bit of a boost before they go into the soil. This compost is like a council waste type of compost, and it's not great nutritionally wise. I don't actually put it down for nutrition, I'd put it down more as a mulch material. And what I want to do is get the native microbes working in there as quickly as possible, because I'm not sure what harmful substances are actually in that compost. So what I want to do is kind of neutralise it as quickly as possible. We have got rabbit cam now attached to that fence post over there, so as soon as I see one I can come out here and tell it off or something. So yeah, let's go and get those plants so that we can start planting. So at the moment I'm having to walk quite a long way to go and get my plant trays, my seed trays, and obviously this gate is an obstacle, and there are horses and alpacas in here, so I can't just leave the gate open. So the plan is to open a passageway through that hedge there. We're going to cut it through, so we've got a little archway, and fence across from my older flower field to this new flower field, so that I can just walk through with my seed trays, and it's going to be nice and easy for me to pass through. This is my root soak that I'm going to soak my plants in before I plant them into the ground, and I have a handful of worm compost here. I would usually put this in a mesh bag and suspend it within the water if I was going to be spraying it out or using a watering can, but because I'm using it as a root soak, I don't think there's any need to kind of separate the larger particles from the water, so I'm literally going to just sprinkle it onto my tray here. And then I also have about 15 mils of seaweed, which is handy in this syringe because I've got a big bottle I can stick my syringe in and pull out what I need. And I've also got about the same amount of fish hydrolysate in rainwater. So if we're going to be using live biological amendments such as the worm compost, then we want to use dechlorinated water, but you can also use vitamin C drops or humic acid to tie up that chlorine. So I'm just going to pour the water into here so that I can stand my tray in it and let it soak up water for a while before I'm ready to plant them out into the field. Next up for planting is this chickpea foliage, which I'm interested to see how it does. I'm not sure whether it's kind of got too big now and I've kind of let it go too far in the pot, or whether this is a good stage to plant it out. It's all a bit of an experiment, and I have got a second succession in the polytunnel at the moment, so I can maybe get those out a little bit earlier. These have been in the pots for a while just because of all the problems that we've been having with this field. I can get those out in a little bit more of a timely manner. We're just gonna have to see how this goes. Maybe we'll even get some kind of flowers on some of it and some chickpeas. That would be cool. We could make some flower farm hummus. The rabbits tried to get into this field again last night. I think they actually did get in because they've dug quite a substantial hole underneath the gate, which looks like it could fit a rabbit through it. I thought that was going to be kind of a fix because I kind of put a mound up against the netting so that they couldn't dig underneath it, and the soil was quite hard and dry because we haven't had an awful lot of rain for a while, so I thought that I was rabbit proof, but it turns out not. The rabbits are just absolutely relentless this year. They just won't give up. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know, I just told Rob and he was like, you're gonna have to concrete it or something, but we'll have to fix that today so they don't get in again tonight. And I've got to go out today, but I want to do some planting later on, so what I'm going to do is fill up some trays to soak my plants in throughout the day until I'm ready to plant them later on tonight. I think another full day of planting and I would pretty much have everything out that is potentially able to go out at the moment. Then I can see how much of the field I'm filling up and then potentially put some cover crops in on the other half of the field, so we will see about that. And then I've got a fellow flower farmer coming over on Thursday called Hattie. She lives about an hour and a half drive away from here, and we get on really well, so she's coming over to buy some extra flowers from me on Thursday, and she's actually going to bring me some of her soil. She farms regeneratively as well, and she's very kind of soil minded like me, so obviously we get on really well, and I'm going to take a look at some of her soil under the microscope. I haven't used my microscope this year and I'm really looking forward to kind of getting down into the nitty-gritty of the soil again, because that's kind of what fuels me. I really enjoy looking at what we can do to benefit the soil and actually measure that as well, because there's so many potions and things that we can put on our plants, but whether it's actually making a difference or not is questionable. But when you can look at it, at the soil under the microscope, and you can see that it's visibly improving, then it makes it all worthwhile. So I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday. It was the No Till Flowers podcast with Jenny Love, and she was talking about the water-soluble calcium. Water-soluble calcium, you make it by putting eggshells into apple cider vinegar, and the acid in the vinegar draws out the calcium, and you can foliar feed it onto the plants. And calcium is really good for strengthening stems and preventing hollow stems, which we don't want for cut flowers, because we want our stems to be nice and strong for the purpose of arranging them and having them display nicely in vases, etc. So she had her water-soluble calcium tested, and it actually had kind of significant levels of calcium that were going to make a difference to the plants. So that's good to know. I've been saving my eggshells actually, so I kind of need to roast them to get rid of the membranes and any kind of living tissue that's still on them, and then I can put them into the vinegar. So that is good to know. I also use fish hydrolysate that I made myself, or kind of liquid fish emulsion that is made using equal parts sugar and fish. I made a video on that, I'll put that up here, and that's really good for a little bit of nitrogen and amino acids that are essential for kind of building blocks for other things that the plants need to produce for themselves to grow and to function. What else do I use? I use seaweed, I use humic acid, and those are all classed as biostimulants, which kind of have enzymes or things that act like enzymes in them to kind of boost the overall function of the plants. But yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting a little bit more nerdy. Anyway, I'm blabbering on and I really need to get these plants soaking. I also need to set up the irrigation in that field because we did get some rain after I planted out yesterday, but we didn't get enough. So I'm hoping that my hose pipe is going to reach into the new field. I kind of need to thread it through the hedge and get it to go over the fencing into the new field. So yeah, let's go do that. Even think I'm going to be able to find it. There's so many nettles. Found it! I'm using this sprayer. I like it because it waters in a square and not a circle, so usually you can get good bed coverage with it. It was from Amazon. I think it was about 50 quid. I'll put a link down in the description if you are interested, but it's really good because you can alter the width of these nozzles, you can alter how far backwards and forwards it goes, you can alter the flow, and it's pretty sturdy, it never falls over, so I am pleased with that. And people always ask me about this. It's a bird scarer. I don't know what people think it is, but it's supposed to stop the birds from eating the plants. Well, the plants that I soaked earlier on have been soaking for a few hours now, and they are ready to be planted out. This is Soteria macrostachya. I've also got some bunny tails and some Wagenheimia. I'm not sure on the last part of the Latin name for that one. So I'll probably be able to fill one full bed full of grasses. So let's get planting. So the compost that I started a couple of days ago when I came to the field and the rabbits had eaten all of my plants, I needed something to do because I was feeling a bit frustrated and I wanted something to do that I enjoy. So I decided to put a big compost pile together because coming out and looking at the temperature every morning gets me excited to get out here. So we're almost at 40 degrees now, and it's been 2 days I think since I put it together, or at least a day and a half, so that is going nicely. And I've been recording the temperature just by taking photos of it so I can kind of see the trajectory of the temperatures, and what we're aiming to get to is 65 degrees. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it is going to get hot enough and stay hot enough to kill weed seeds and potential pathogens that we've got here inside the compost pile. Next, I'm sowing these floret seeds, and I'm excited that we now have a UK supplier for floret seeds. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this unicorn mix and precious metals mix flower this summer. So I've got quite a lot of planting out done in the last couple of days that you've joined me here on this video, and I'm going to wrap this video up this afternoon because we're getting towards the end of the week now, and I'm just going to finish off by potting on some zinnias that are looking a little bit sad in their seed trays, and they're not quite big enough for me to want to plant them out yet, so I just kind of want to give them a little bit of a boost before I put them out into the field, give them a little bit more time. And I've pretty much planted out what I can for now in the annual field, which is what I'm going to start calling it, because this was the new field, now that's the new field. It was getting a bit confusing, so it's the annual field. This, I kind of call it the polytunnel field, so if you hear me referring to them as those names in the future, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of just waiting now. The sunflowers are just germinating, and I sowed the extra floret zinnias today, so I'm looking forward to seeing how those come out in the summer. Everything else is just a little bit small or is a perennial, so is going to want to be planted out in this field. So next week I'm going to crack on with planting out the dahlias. I've moved the dahlias outside now, so they are hardening off ready for that planting session next week, and I've planted a couple of sacrificial canary in the mine kind of dahlias in the field, just to make sure that there's nothing going to come and eat them, just to doubly make sure that this field is secure and nothing's going to come and eat them. So they've been out there for a few days now, and I think that they are safe. So I was wrapping up this video, I was actually editing it, and I was about to finish it off and get it published on YouTube when I received this package that I've got here in front of me, and this is literally the kindest, nicest thing that someone could do, and I'm really touched by it, and I'm just so thankful, and I just can't believe that somebody would do this for me. But I've just received a parcel from Ivy Dean Flower Farm, and they've sent me a box full of plants. I posted on Instagram a few days ago about how hard this year has been and how many plants I've lost, and just feeling a little bit lost this year. And I've been sent a box full of plants, and even some of these zinnias that they've sent are the floret ones, so I'm just so grateful, and I just can't believe that somebody would do that for me. So I'm just about to pot those up, and I just want to say thank you to them, and thank you so much everybody for all of the kind words that you've sent me over on social media. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm just hoping that now it's just going to be onwards and upwards, and we'll be able to put this behind us and just look forward to the future. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.